Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're not just talking about apps or screen time. We're actually going to hold up a neurological mirror to understand the definitive, unseen impact of our digital environment. Because right now, literally while you are watching this, your brain is being changed. And I don't mean subtly or gradually. I mean structurally, physically, and permanently. It's time we really understand exactly how. 96. That's how many times the average person checks their phone every single day. If you do the math, that works out to roughly once every 10 minutes of your waking life. But what no one tells you about those 96 moments is that each and every one of them is a tiny experiment your brain is running on itself. The results of those experiments are only just now becoming clear to us, and honestly, the biological reality is staggering.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt your phone buzz in your pocket, reached in and realized absolutely nothing was there? That's called the phantom vibration phenomenon. And it's not just some harmless, quirky glitch. It's actually hard evidence of how deeply your nervous system has been retrained to constantly monitor for digital signals, which keeps your stress hormones chronically elevated. If you felt that and you're thinking, wait, that's me, well, you're definitely not alone. Our biology has essentially been hijacked.
Section 1. The dopamine slot machine. Let's dive right into the biology of the scroll.
Okay, to understand the engine driving this behavior, we have to look way back at our ancient evolutionary neurology. For hundreds of thousands of years, our brains evolved for a slow, physical environment. We were absolutely never designed for the relentless, hyper-stimulating input that a social media feed delivers directly to our retinas. And it all centers around a specific biological mechanism, the nucleus accumbens. You can think of it like your brain's applause meter. When something potentially good happens, it triggers the release of dopamine. Now, a lot of people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, but it's actually not. It's the want chemical. It is the chase chemical. It drives the motivation to seek out a reward. It's a fundamental survival tool. And this brilliantly illustrates how social media completely exploits that ancient system. Evolutionarily speaking, rewards were earned and somewhat predictable, right? You put an effort, you get a result. But social media introduces a variable reward schedule. This is exactly the same psychological mechanism used in casino slot machines. When you pull down to refresh a feed, you have absolutely no idea if you're going to see something amazing or nothing at all. That unpredictability makes the brain light up and traps you in a deliberate psychological loop. Once you see behind this curtain, it's honestly a little disturbing.
And the sheer intensity of this loop is shocking. A landmark 2025 EEG study tracked the real-time brain activity of users. When they received likes or hit a viral moment, they experienced a massive 62% gamma wave spike. We are not just talking about mild amusement here. This neural signature mirrors the absolute highest reward states in the brain, utilizing the exact same neural pathways that fire when someone uses controlled substances like cocaine. A red notification badge is literally a drug for your attention.
Section 2. The infant brain construction. Let's look at the most vulnerable minds among us. Let's actually slow down for a moment and look at arguably the most extraordinary thing in the known universe, a baby's brain. An infant's brain is completely defenseless against digital stimulation. You really have to think of it as a massive, hyperactive construction site. In just the first 2 years of life, it's forming 1 million new neural connections every single second. 1 million. Every single interaction, every sound, every touch is building the architecture of their mind. But here's the catch. That architecture requires a very specific building material that screens simply cannot provide.
That essential building material is human interaction. Specifically, something neuroscientists call serve and return. It's basically the neural equivalent of a game of tennis. A parent smiles, and the baby coos back. The baby cries, and the parent comforts them. This continuous volley of emotion and response is what builds cognitive flexibility and empathy. But a screen cannot volley back. It demands absolutely nothing. And it teaches the developing brain that stimulation is an entirely passive experience.
Let's look at how this builds into a pretty chilling trajectory over time. That same 2025 study showed that high screen time before age 2 leads to premature visual network specialization. By age 8, those same children show measurably slower decision-making, and by 13, significantly higher anxiety. But there's a really profound, beautiful antidote here. Research shows that a parent frequently reading to their child by age 3 can actually partially reverse these effects. The cure was never another educational app. It was always human connection.
Section 3. The adult brain right now. Let's talk about what's happening to your neuroplasticity today.
Let's pivot right back to you, the adult brain right now.
You might think your brain is fully formed and totally immune to this stuff, but neuroplasticity tells us otherwise. We are deeply vulnerable to our daily digital environments. The immediate measurable cost is striking. Heavy social media use actually decreases gray matter density in your prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's center for logic and impulse control. If you watch short-form video for just 2 hours a day, your brain shows a massive 35% drop in beta wave activity. You are measurably losing over a third of your impulse control just by scrolling.
So the really crucial point is this. If you've noticed that sitting down to read a book or doing deep, focused work feels incredibly difficult lately, you're not getting lazier. The book isn't harder. Your brain has simply been retrained to expect a brand new stimulus every 4 to 8 seconds. Moving at the normal, everyday pace of human thought now throws your scrolling brain into a state that literally mimics withdrawal.
Section 4. The empathy paradox. Let's look at why we're experiencing disconnected connection. This internal rewiring absolutely spills out into how we treat each other, creating what neuroscientists call the empathy paradox. We are the most digitally connected generation in human history. We can reach anyone instantly, and yet empathy is measurably declining. How is that biologically possible? Well, it's because real empathy requires physical data. It requires facial cues, a subtle shift in tone of voice, body language, eye contact. The comment section strips all of that away. You just see text and a tiny profile picture. And without those physical cues, our socially wired brains automatically project threat. That's exactly why people type things online they would never, ever say in person. The digital space traps us in a primal fight or flight response.
Section 5. Reclaiming your mind. How we use neuroplasticity to heal.
But listen, we do not have to stay trapped here. Your brain is not permanently broken. The exact same neuroplasticity that hijacked your attention can actually be harnessed to heal it. We can consciously rewire our own minds back to clarity. And it doesn't even take years. Research shows that it takes just 30 days of significantly reduced social media use to see a measurable partial recovery of the alpha waves in your brain. 30 days, that's all it takes to calm the storm, to reduce that chronically elevated cortisol, and to start feeling like yourself again. So here is exactly how you do it. And please, don't look at this as just another productivity hack list. Think of this as someone handing you back the keys to your own mind. First, absolutely no phone for 30 minutes after waking up. Let your brain boot up naturally. Second, designate specific checking times to break that variable reward loop we talked about earlier. Third, actively replace the scroll with something physical. Fourth, turn off every single non-essential notification. And finally, consciously curate your feed so you aren't just force-feeding yourself digital junk food. You know, we came into this world with the most sophisticated information processing system in the universe. It was designed for depth, for connection, and for real meaning. Social media didn't invent our human needs, it just learned exactly how to exploit them. So I want to leave you with this question to really think about tomorrow morning. When you wake up and instinctively reach for your phone, who is designing the rewards in your life? Is it you or is it an algorithm? Because the choice of what to pay attention to is ultimately the choice of who you will become. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Protect your attention.